Who is this mystical Talon one-trick terrorizing the Korean server in high elo here? Alright, we are going to jump into another LoL Korea Pro replay. And we are going to have a look at this Talon who, for his top lane, has an Aatrox, which is facing off against the counter, the Scary, the Kalista. And then in the jungle for the Talon, we have a Bel'Veth, which means we have triple AD topside with a Varus in the bottom lane and a Karma, which potentially could mean that this Varus might go for the AP Varus variant here, just to add a little bit of magical damage. Varus obviously pretty good, actually, the more you think about it. Varus pretty good at build variety at the moment, right? Having the ability to go for lethality if needed, having the ability to go for the on-hit and for magical damage as well, as Talon is going to acquire the push here on to the Katarina matchup. In the enemy jungle, we have a Viego, by the way, so he will be required to be a little bit careful. Obviously, Katarina and Viego are kind of wild because they do share a very similar playstyle. But do you need two champions that try to go for resets and are very reliant on resets in the same team? Maybe. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. Alright, Bel'Veth is going to pick up a kill onto the Kalista here, putting Aatrox a little bit further ahead in lane. As Talon already looking, we have picked up our level 3 and we are already looking for a roam onto the bottom lane here, as the bot lane does see it coming, but will they be able to react quick enough? The Karma Flash will not apply the stun, as Talon is going to flash onto the Ashe, who is going to live. And Talon now has to give up a wave in the mid lane just to be able to flash onto the Ashe here. Ashe obviously did use her flash, but Seraphine didn't even have to use flash. Exhaust was blown, but so he didn't really help the lanes, considering that Karma did flash as well. As he is going to jump into the river here, going to pick up a lead onto the Viego, which will lead to his demise. As Talon does have a wall to jump onto there, but is he going to be able to take down a Kalista? I don't think so. He doesn't have the tools right now. As let's talk about the builds a little bit. We have Prowler's Claw for a little bit of the, let's say, the more expected variant, right? But then Eclipse is also pretty good at helping him sustain through the Katarina trades. And generally, Prowler's Claw is really good against Ashe, against the Seraphine, against the Kalista, right? So Prowler's Claw definitely a really good choice, as Talon is going to just shove out the wave, sacrifice HP here, as he was planning to recall anyway. So any damage that Katarina does to him doesn't really matter. Obviously, she was also trying to thin out the wave, but Talon is going to get a good tempo reset here. Only misses 2 minions and creates a very small opportunity for Katarina to roam here. And he actually makes a point out of picking up the ward, the roam ward that Katarina placed here with a pink ward. Actually, very interesting play. As Katarina herself does have a red trinket available as well, something that we are expecting out of the Talon as well. He could also pick up the lethality item that gives him true sight and the ability to one-shot wards, as he is going to look down at the bottom lane. But I mean, yeah, the bot lane is not even there yet, and if they are going to come into lane in a very safe position. So no ganks available, but you see how much he makes a point out of just walking into the side lane here, right? And there's a certain point where Katarina can just kind of try to spam out pushing the waves. And Talon can't yet. Pretty soon he will be able to though. As Ashe will take down the Varus and the Karma, and he looks for a roam here onto the bottom lane. He does have his ultimate available. He's going to take this wall as well, but the enemy team is respectful enough, as he is still looking for a pickup here onto the Viego. Viego is absolutely done for here. Yeah, give it a little bit and he is going to be going down, as Talon just parkouring all over the map. Katarina has to move out of her position pretty soon, but she will do so safely, as he only picks up 1 minion out of his wave. He is pretty behind onto the Katarina so far. He's only acquired 2 assists, but he is still looking, and power budget wise he is still ahead without a doubt, as he's going to flip over to his ally, looking for an ultimate to pick up the Kalista. Will pick up the Kalista. Katarina flash as Aatrox fails to cancel the ultimate, and that is going to be a pickup by the Viego as well, who now has picked up Talon, which is actually pretty useful for Viego, because that means that he will be able to do a little bit faster counter jungle the Bel'Veth's jungle, as Varus is going to go down again to the Ashe Seraphine lane, one of the most dominant lanes, a lane that works beautifully together. And now we have Kalista switching into the mid lane with Katarina going into the top lane, which should be a pretty favorable trade here for the blue team. But we'll see how much Aatrox is actually able to cancel Katarina's ultimates and bully Katarina, as this might just be a short-term swap here, right? Just to get the CS even, and then Kalista roams up again. Yeah. It seems to be so, as Kalista just tried to pick up a wave that was crashed probably by Bel'Veth. Talking about Bel'Veth, Bel'Veth is very, very far ahead here off the Viego. So there's definitely something that we want to play around here. And I'm planning to do a video on the buddy system pretty soon. A little bit of a representation of a concept that talks about the way that mid lane and jungle can interact together, or generally the way that things are forced or guaranteed to be victorious in League of Legends when it comes to the macro play of things, right? Alright, so he will pick up the mid lane wave. Notable that he doesn't run Tiamat. I remember there was a time where you would run Tiamat. Every W hit would proc extra, which would allow you to clear the wave right now. Is Talon. He is always looking at the minimap and always looking at a potential roam. But so far he hasn't been very successful. He hasn't had any opportunities to roam here. And we will see if that will get better, as he will pick up a kill onto the Kalista here, very guaranteed, but will he be able to take down the Viego as well? Viego ultimate is going to be flashed, as Viego will flash out himself and barely survive. I say this is a decent pickup for Talon and Bel'Veth, but it is nothing that is really putting him that far ahead, as he is still kind of behind in CS, right? As we see a little bit of sloppy macro out of him as well, recalling there, while having the opportunity to take one more plate here. He will now not get that plate, as he will parkour to safety and manage to recall. 5-0-1 on to the Kalista, who has the Herald available for herself as well. So very, very big pickup for the Kalista, for the Bel'Veth, who is going to be super scary, as Kalista is going to move into the top lane, bully out the Aatrox once more. And we'll see what Talon can do against the Katarina here now. I don't have a lot of hope for this matchup. Looks pretty scary, as he is still not able to one-shot the wave, and so it just leaves him at this awkward position, right? And that is exactly why I'm so... It's so weird, right? Because Talon, he can be this really disgusting champion, but then if he isn't able to one-shot the wave anymore, now it becomes very, very difficult. Now he falls so far behind something like the Qiyana, with when it just comes to the ability to like one-shot a wave and make tempo plays. Katarina has been looking for this Talon. Talon is going to parkour over. Doesn't care, he says. But he will be chunked out a little bit, as Katarina still not ready. Still not ready to push out the wave. Just wants to pick up a kill onto him here. I don't know why we wouldn't just be happy to pick up a wave, get closer to the Nash's Tooth, which once the Nash's Tooth is picked up by the Katarina, she is definitely very scary. Just try to farm up a little bit and find really good engages later on, as Varus is going to pick up the Seraphine here. Crazy back and forth on the bottom lane, as Katarina is going to get a roam off. Is that going to net a kill? Flash on the Karma. Karma is going to be out, but Katarina jumps onto the Varus. Varus seems to be able to fight back, and that means that Katarina now has used her ultimate, her ignite, and her flash just to give Talon some plates and take away the Karma's flash. Note here that Varus didn't even have to use his flash over there, right? Probably had to use his ultimate. Didn't really track that, but not the strongest roam at all. And that is just a roam where the timing of the roam not only wasn't perfect, but also item-wise was just absolutely ridiculous, right? You're very close to building out that Nash's Tooth, that core damage item for Katarina players nowadays. And you just try to roam anyway, try to finish off kills, and you just don't manage to. And now you've just used all your resources. Now that you have the power spike, you can't punish anymore, which is just unfortunate timing at best, as we are going to pick up a Duskblade of Drakthar. Now we're also able to one-shot the wave. Interesting, Duskblade of Drakthar, huh? I would have never expected that. I would have expected the Eclipse or the Prowler's Claw. Maybe going to mean that we are play much more defensive on this Talon, but we'll see. Or just dive in, one-shot someone and get the hell out. It's going to be difficult to pick up a kill onto the... Beautifully done though, onto the Katarina, who did absolutely not play that correctly at all, as we are going to pick up the wave in one shot now, and that means that Viego is defending the tower, and we have a little bit of a tempo lead, which we will use to pick up some farm in the top lane and maybe get a kill onto the Kalista, which should see this coming, so hopefully this is not possible. But yeah, okay, she did not expect that, and that is Talon picking up a kill onto the Kalista. Beautifully done here by him with that map awareness, just looking at the top lane and seeing, oh, there's not only a wave that I can pick up, there is also an squishy weak 80 carry that is sitting over here, who did just solo kill, thus expending a lot of her resources to just solo kill the enemy laner, as he's not going to push this in perfectly. Actually, he will just recall and do a very, very sloppy recall. I think that is an absolutely big blunder here, allowing Kalista to technically even freeze this, to be honest, but obviously not sure that you want to do that, as Seraphine is going to barely live because of the exhaust. Flash W onto her to finish her off by the Talon. Not the most optimal play there, but that was Seraphine's exhaust coming in and screwing a little bit with Talon. A really nice trick that I picked up recently, by the way, on Seraphine is you can exhaust and then single E someone to stun them. That's pretty sick, actually. I like that. Because obviously Ash W into Seraphine E will also stun, into single Seraphine E will also stun. And Rylai's will also make Seraphine's E, single E stun. So that obviously opens you up for a W or a charge Q, which are considerably stronger than the E, as the main part of the E is obviously exactly that. As this Kalista has to get out of here, and she is not able to get out of the range of this Talon. I mean, she had her Gale Force available there, so she could have definitely played that a little bit better, but kill picked up by the Aatrox, as this Talon is just slowly building up his lead. Even though the early game did not go as he pleases, right now he is definitely making up for it with very, very good map awareness and just a constant ability to roam and just mess with the enemy team, right? He's one of these champions that want no one to hit perfect CS, but just want to sow havoc and ruination over the battlefield. Makes him a very, very good champion for low relos as well, as people tend to fight a lot there, and he is very, very capable of fighting without his ultimate as well. Makes him a very, very strong champion to learn for the lower elos if you really want to play an assassin. Obviously, assassins, they bring with them some problems that
Red team's turret has been destroyed.
yeah, that the champions will just bring with them for climbing later on. Once you want to pick up different champions, you'll have to learn absolutely new aspects of the game. And so control mages are a little bit better for that apparently, but Talon, if you want to pick up an assassin, Talon definitely being the more approachable version of Qiyana in a way, right? Being that quick tempo-based champion that is able to one-tap, and Qiyana obviously has much, much more impact with her abilities. if you are able to connect with it and combo it and deal with it, predict it and deal with the bugs that come with Kiana, all of that. But if you can't, then Kiana definitely not an optimal pickup, and Talon will be most likely. So I mean, I remember the first game that I played on Talon. Just went for W max, just spammed W onto the wave, ran over with my E-Ren to any play and just picked up like 14 to 2 or something. And I was like, yep, this champion is definitely a champion that benefits from map awareness, which is, I would say, one of my stronger features as a lane, as a mechanic, sorry. Very, very lucky. Even full ultimate there actually by the Seraphine. Yeah, this is the problem with something like the Seraphine combination, right? Big shutdown actually going over to the Kalista, who is definitely the stronger of both AD carries at this current point in time. So very, very big for the team in red here, as Karma is going to try to move out. She has to dodge this W. Beautiful connection there by Diego. But he will not be able to take down this Karma in one go, and we'll just see if he connects with that W. He doesn't. Ends up taking a lot of tower damage as well, so he has to recall. As the Varus looping around, looking for a pickup onto the Kalista here. Get that kill onto the Kalista, get that kill onto the Viego. You have a huge Varus, even bigger than he already is. Absolutely scary with the shield bow and the on-hit of the Rage Blade. We're going to jump onto the Ashe, and Ashe is going to go down to the Talon here. Beautiful parkour, actually walks onto the right to the side of the edge and jumps on over the long side of the wall. W not going to connect with that minion, unfortunately, but he is making the effort to go back for a minion, which is great. All right, no exhaust available here for the Seraphine, so if he can connect with Seraphine, she will be absolutely donezo. Yomu's Ghostblade available as well. And yeah, Talon is just such a scary champion, man. It's honestly crazy. Nerfing his W's ability to shut down minion waves. In the beginning, I've seen people run the minion dematerializer, something that you have had to run on something like the Crucifatus. Will he? Not even close. What? I was like, will he be able to take down this Kalista? But yeah, not even close. She needed to just jump away there, but I mean, there wasn't really any. I mean, with jump away, I mean using her Gale Force, but I think there was no timing for her to get away from him. He was on top of her pretty quickly, able to follow up with that ultimate anyway. As he is going to jump into the mid lane here for the Crane Ram? I don't know. The Korean A-Ram. A trend that has been a little bit unsettling of Korea taking out of the NA books here. Just running down the mid lane trying to set up a fight. Something that usually was an NA and LPL thing. Something that Europe and Korea used to do a little less than they do now. Interestingly enough. Obviously, this is hard to say as Korea doesn't really have so much of an identity anymore with teams like Genji and all of these different teams, right? Just having so much more variance here as the Flash and the Ignite are going to take down the Ashe, and Talon will be able to get out of there. Actually, beautiful pickup there. Not a very straight up Talon combo, right? Not like the basic Talon combo that you would expect, but it was enough and very well freestyled here by Talon. As he will take down the Ashe. And yeah, this game looks... I mean, okay, so dare I say that Talon, he has been doing a really good job, but I wouldn't say that he has particularly won any fight, right? He has done some work into helping Aatrox back into the game, and he has done some work denying the AD carry, you know, blowing summoners, killing people. But he hasn't been at any team fight where he absolutely just slaughtered the team fight, right? And I think that is the biggest difference between Qiyana and Talon, is that if Qiyana reaches the point that Talon reaches, team fights, if there are 3 or more squishy champions, team fights are just in Qiyana's pocket, unless everyone manages to outplay the Qiyana, which usually doesn't happen. So this definitely very impressive. But Talon, on the other hand, he is a lot better at picking up single people and just roaming the map and applying pressure everywhere, kind of being everywhere as well, right? So he will pick up one entire wave in a W, and then we'll have to work on that cannon menu for half an hour. It's also ridiculously empty. Beautiful ultimate connection by the Seraphine, and we'll see if the blue team able to stand their ground. They are able to. Don't engage into Belveth is what the saying says. Is Belveth is going to engage into them, going to be exhausted, prompting her to dash out instantly. And that is a pretty big pickup by Talon, who definitely helped their team stand their ground and delete the Katarina who jumped in, get rid of the Viego. That died as well. So 3-man for nothing. Nada, niente. Pretty decent trade. I believe there was a kill picked up here by the red team, but yeah. It wasn't Talon and it wasn't the Varus, which are the most important parts here of the whole puzzle, where for the red team, it's a little bit more difficult. Like, who's the main carry? I mean, I guess it's Kalista, but then there's also the Katarina, but then it's also the Viego, who absolutely got dominated given that armor. It is surprising how much damage Talon managed to do now. He has huge item advantages. He's going to pick up a triple kill here onto the Katarina. Beautiful job, actually. A quadra kill goes his way. And this Talon is just ridiculously strong, just jumping around, picking up kills. And I mean, I have to say, like, definitely feels like he works a lot harder for his quadra than a Qiyana that has these stats would work. Just because it isn't the Penta. Just because Qiyana, obviously, right? People group up and you just one-shot them. Talon, however, a little bit more damage budget on his basic abilities, I would say. Or power budget, at least, because of his E giving him so much mobility. But then again, right? It kind of depends where you fight. That obviously was a pretty good fight for him as well. So he's going to pick up another wave. 2:22 at 28 minutes. Definitely no farm record being built here. By the way, if you want to see a farm record, I have just recently casted a game of Kuma Yushi playing Neela, and that was ridiculous. We worked out that he was at about like 300 farm, gold-wise, at about 300 plus farm at like 22 minutes or something. So absolutely ridiculous. If you want to watch that, head on over to my YouTube. While you're there, obviously, remember to hit the bell if you like the casts. It does help me out plenty as I'm trying to get this channel to the point where it is sustainable for me to cast these games every day. I am currently working towards a holiday, so there is going to be a little bit of pre-production happening here, which might explain some similarities between most of the videos. I have finally fixed my audio as well. At least I've made it to the point where I can fix it in post-production. So that is absolutely huge. It's going to help us all out quite a bit when it comes to the audio quality. There is still the question, I would still like to dive into the audio settings of my microphone a little bit, optimize it a little bit more for that podcasty style vibe. This beautiful ultimate is actually going to tag multiple people here. The flash in, but it is not going to be enough. And well, actually, yeah, Kalista is going to go down as well to the Varus here, and the bleed out at the Viego, this Talon is definitely striking back. With an ultimate that hit everyone, a W that slowed up 3 people, and he flashed onto the Viego to auto attack Q and proc that bleed. And it looked like that Viego would be able to live there, but he bled out through the transform, and so he went down right after transforming. Varus is going to pick up the kill here for this one-trick Talon. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Stay awesome.
Ты моя тяжелая, такая толстая, огромная я, всегда голодная, хорошая, ты моя я, бейби, ты моя я. Ты моя тяжелая, такая толстая, огромная я,